Welcome to another week. Today, last week we spoke about Google Task, Google Keep, and Google Calendar. We didn't make a video because we tried something new. We were having live classes, um, but I realized that some of you were unable to attend live classes. So I am going back to making the videos in addition to the live classes. Okay, so in live classes it will be more interactive. You will ask your questions and stuff. But for the video part, I'm basically just going over the material that we need to cover. So please pay attention. Okay, today we are going to learn about Google Drive. And Google Drive is a storage service, a cloud storage service provided by Google, which lets you keep all your work in one place, and you can view different file formats without needing any additional software, and you can basically access your file from any device. So basically it's like a thumb drive or a CD, or if you know what they call floppy disk way back in my days. So you can store and but good thing is that it's online, it's saved online, so you don't really need to plug into any other computer to access it. All you need is your Google account. Okay, so let's get started. So I'm on my web browser. You can either open the Google app menu and to Drive, or you can just type in the address drive.google.com, and you should access your Google Drive. So you need to log in to get to your Google Drive. So I'm using my school email address, and there you go. Again, Google has similar layout throughout the different softwares. So on top pane, you have the name of the software you are using, your Omnibox to search, your support. If you need help, you can always get this. Click on this and search for the areas that you want to know how to complete. You have the settings, you have the Google Apps menu, so you can access other Google apps that link to your account, and you have your account information right there. On the right, you have the apps that are related. The basic thing is calendar, keep, and task, but any other add-ons that your administrator included will be shown here, and you can even add your own apps, but I think it's disabled for at our school currently. And on your left side, again, you have this plus sign to create new. This is same throughout, like in Gmail, in Google Keep. We spoke about that, right? So in what can you create in Google Drive? When you click new, it gives you an option. You can create a folder where you can store different files, and you can upload a file. You can upload a folder with multiple files in it. You can create a Google Doc and all other Google products right there from Google Drive. And then you have the different boxes. You have the priority box. It is files you are using most often, and my drive, that's where you have access to all your drive. Now on this top you have quick access. That's the I think the files you are using often, as well as or the latest file you was editing. It will be listed on quick access. And shared with me is any folder or file that has been shared with you in Google Drive by another user. it will be shown there. So for example, in my case, I have Ethan who shared his assignment, right? You can see all that has been shared with me. Recent is going to show you the last few files or folder you was working on, you opened, is going to be listed there. Start, I don't have anything started, but it is important and we are going to talk about it. And trash is whatever you delete. And storage gives you an idea of what you have stored, right? And you can sort it according to the size of the file, you can sort it according to the name and so on. Okay, so having said that, I'm on my drive, and basically when you click on this top, this gives you an idea of what directory you are in. So right now I'm just in my drive, and there again, when you click my drive, you can assign, you can create new folder, create different files and so on. To upload a folder or file, you can either click upload file or folder and you select it from your computer, or simply, if you have a file on your computer that you want to save online, let's say, okay, let's create a folder first. Before we do that, we'll create a folder first. So as you start to use your computers now to do your work, everything is going to get very clustered, and it is very important to have your files and folders organized. So we can create a folder. Creating folder is one way of organizing your files, okay? So I can create a folder to say, let's call it 2021. So I'm going to create this folder, and it's been created. I'm going to double click to open. Now what happened when I double click, I am actually in the new folder I have created called 2021, and you can see it on top. In my drive, I'm in 2021 in my drive, right? And again, you can click this and it gives you the different options in the folder. You can create a new folder within that folder. So let's do that. I'm going to call it homework and create. So it creates another folder within 2021, okay? And you can also share this. So let's say I'm making a folder for this year for all my work, where I give my students homework and maybe I register. So let's create another folder called register. I'm just using my example, but you can relate it to yours. So for you, it could be different subjects and the homeworks, right? Now maybe the whole folder called 2021, I can share it with the principal and the vice principal so they can see everything. And for homework, maybe I can share it with your homeroom teachers to make sure the students in their homeroom does the homework, right? And so there are different levels of sharing. So let's get into this. When you click share, you can add the people by typing the email address. Now, if they are saved in your contact, as soon as you type, it will be listed. So let's say I want to share it with Mr. Simeon, so I'm just going to type, and Mr. Simeon name shows up. So you click it and he's going to be added. And on this side there is an option. You can assign different role to the person you are sharing with. So if I only want them to view what's in that content, meaning They can only see it, but they cannot change, they cannot comment on it, they cannot move it, they cannot edit the file, right? I'm going to make it, I'm going to assign viewer role to Mr. Simeon. But let's say I want him to view it, but also tell me maybe I should add this and change this and stuff, but not necessarily for him to change. I can put in the role as a commenter where he can view my work and he can share his opinion and his recommendations with the work I'm doing. So for example, that would be useful for you if you are sharing your project. Say you have a project and you need to share it with your class. Now, you do not want your classmates to erase the work you had, so you can say you can add your classmates to only view your work, right? But let's say you are sharing it with me as a teacher for your SBA, and I have to tell you what to add, what to change, but maybe it doesn't mean that I am the one doing the change, right? So you can put me as commenter. Now, if you are doing group work and all of you need to put in to the group work, you can put editor, which means all of you will now be able to edit the document, right? And you can notify the people, make sure it's tick by notifying people every time you share something, that they are going to get an email to say, look, this person shared this folder with you or this file with you. And you can type in a message, and this message will be shown in the part of the email that we'll be getting as a notification. Say, hi Mr. Simeon, I am sharing sorry I am sharing this folder with you. Please let me know what can be added. Just an example of what you can do, okay? And you click send and it will share. You can add more than one person, so if I want to send it with, share it with the school, again as I click it gives me the list, and this is, I can share it with the vice principal and the principal and so on, okay? um, when you click on the settings, you can tick, there's an option editors can change permissions and share. Now there is owner and there's an editor. Now when I share this as an editor, basically everybody can edit the document, but let's say it is owned by me because I created it. Now what happens, for example, I send it to Mr. Simeon, and let's say I forget to add the principal, and he now wants to share this with the principal. What what will happen is that that's like a breach in security, okay? Because I created a file and I shared it with you. Now there's an option where you can take that same file I shared with you and share it with all other contacts you have, or you will not be allowed to do that, okay? So for example, let's say you are doing a project and you add the students in your group for that project. Now one of the students in your group maybe wants to share that with his friend that's in another group to see, you know, how you all are doing the work, so they can get assistance. Because the file is not his, even though he share it, that doesn't mean the person who he shared with are necessarily going to able to edit the document and see the document. Now if you want that, you leave that tick. If you tick that off, that means the editors cannot change the permission and they will not be able to share. When they share, the person who they shared with will not be able to access, and they will have to request permission. So the permission now will come to you as an owner, to say this email address, this person is trying to access the document. Are you going to give them the permission? Right? So that's basically. Alright, so we have that part covered. Now I'm going to right click. That's another way you can get the drop down menu. You can get a link, a shared link. So when I click on this, it's going to generate a link for that folder. So that's another way of sharing. Instead, you add their email address, you can get that link, you can copy the link, you can send it on WhatsApp and whoever, and you can put your settings. Only people, when it's set on restricted, only the people with the link can open the file, open the folder, right? And since we are using the school's email address, you can also set it as only the accounts that using our school's account email address can access it. So if you send it to your personal email, you'll not be able to access it. Or you can just leave it open, public, and say anyone with the link can access the link. Right? So that means it can be shared on internet, basically on a website, and anybody who clicks on the link will be able to. Now, when would that be useful? So when you are doing maybe like a newsletter for your club and you want it to share with everybody around the world, right? So let's say you are in an IT club and we did a project to put internet all around the school. So we took photos and we made a newsletter about it. Breaking news, and this is what it did, and so on. And you want to share it to everybody, so you can copy that link, create that folder, that flyer or the poster with all the information. You drop it, you save it in your Google Drive, copy the link, and just share the link. Right? You can even embed the link on an email. You can add it to a website or blog, Google site, which we're going to talk about, right? And this can be useful for your SBAs if you have to share something, I guess, with CXC. In my days, we had to save everything on a CD and put it in a file and post it to them. So maybe if they are accepting, online, right now, you see my icon is different. This one is just a plain folder, but this one has folder and a person in it. That means it's shared, right? That's because on the get link I set it as anyone with the link, so it's a shared link. So if I click restricted, it's gone because nobody has access to it now. Okay, so right click again, show folder location is going to basically show that, right? And you can create a shortcut to Drive. Now, shortcut links to the original, allowing an item to appear in more than one location. So basically, if you know what's a shortcut, for example, at the bottom there I have my doc and I have my programs and different stuff that I use. Basically, this is a shortcut. So for example, um, the Notes app I have installed on my computer, I can move this shortcut. I can delete it, but that doesn't mean I have deleted the program. The program is there, but because this is just a shortcut, so I'm just deleting this icon, right? And what shortcut does, basically, it is what it's saying. It's a shortcut to get to some place fast, right? So I have this program called Notes stored in my computer. So instead, every time I go to the menu and I look for where it have the notes, every time, it's going to take too long. So whatever program that I am using or whatever folder that I need quick access to, I can store it. I can make a shortcut, and every time I click, it's going to just create a link for me one time and open it, right? You can also move the file. So for example, this register file, if I did not wanted it in the file called 2021, I can move it outside. Okay, so let's make a, or move it inside. Let's create a new folder. I'm going to call, let's say, term 2. We are in term 2, right? Alright, let's say I want to move the register in term 2. I mean, there are so many ways to do this. You can click register and you can just drag it and it's going to move. Also, if I right click and I click move to, it's going to give me an option, and right now I am in 2021. If I want to put it in term 2 in 2021, I click and I click move. If I want to put it outside or another folder, I can click on it and it's going to move there, but I want to move it to term 2, right? Move it and it's done, it's gone. So when I open, double click term 2, right now you can see I am in term 2 folder, which is in 2021 and which is in my drive, right? That's the path. I have the two folders. Now another way to upload a file in Google Drive is simply dragging. So let's say I want this file called assembly. You can just simply click and drag and it's going to upload and you can see it. Okay, and if you want to delete, you select, you can press this to remove, or you can right click, there's an option to remove. Okay, alright, let's go over the other options. Now add to start. this is the folder right there, and I told you I will go over, right? I have no start folder. So let's say you have you have a project that you are working on and you are going to access that folder or that file every time. Basically what you can do, you can start it. It's basically almost like a shortcut. Now when you start, every time I go to start, I'm going to see all the files and folders that has been started right there. So it's going to filter, it's like reaching that folder faster, right? Alright, and you can remove the star. Now you can also rename it. So let's say instead of homework, I want to call it project. Now it changed the name from homework to project. Okay, and also you can change the color of the folder. So let's say if you want all the projects in green folder and all the registers. Now what could be useful, remember in Google Keep when you're talking about the notes, you could have changed the colors as well. So this is my suggestion to you, which I am practicing. You can actually color code your subject. So what I have started to do, for example, my Form 1 IT, I have color coded, let's say, blue. So in my Google Drive, as well as in my Gmail with the label, you can assign a color, right? So anything that I have to do with Form 1 IT, I have a color for them. So visually, I am getting used to the color. So every time I see something blue, I know, oh, that means whatever information, whatever file or whatever email, whatever notes it is there, that belongs to IT class in Form 1. Now, on your end as a student, you can do the similar. If you have maths, you can maybe assign green. If you have English, you can assign red. So in your Google Keep, when you're taking notes, if you're taking notes for maths, that note you can assign it red. For English, any work you're doing and you stored in Google Drive, right? You can create a folder called English and you can color the folder red. So you know there is a seamless transition between all your Google products. Okay. Now you can view the detail. You can Download is basically, this thing is stored on the cloud, right? And that doesn't mean you necessarily have the file in your computer. So if you want to download, you can click that and turn download. Now there's a way to change the view. So right now I'm on list view. You can change it to grid. Grid is basically thinking like a table. There's a grid system, and the folders you have will be shown in a grid. Okay, right, where were we? 2021 term 2. And basically the same way you can get the information and the view details, you can click on it and it is going to view details. So if I click project, the color is green, it's not shared, the location is inside term 2, I'm the owner, and modified and open, it gives you time. You can add a description. So let's add a description: folder for all the projects to be done this term. I'm just going to call that. Oops, sorry, I didn't. Folder for all projects to be done this term, and I press enter, and it's been saved. Okay, and the activity is going to list all the activities that I have. Just remember, it was homework. It was moved. It was created first, and then it was moved to. I moved 2 items, and then I uploaded them. So that's all the activities I did today. Is giving you a history of what happened in according to the time, so you can quickly track. Okay, and you can also access what you did. So if I click 2021, you're going to send me to 2021 folder. Alright, now before we end, there's another feature that we should talk about. You can download the Google Drive app on your computer, and it's going to be just like a file or a folder in your computer where you can store and use it normally as you would do in your computer. This is just on a web browser, it's online. Okay, so you can get Drive for desktop and install it. You can also check the keyboard shortcuts. Keyboard shortcuts are basically combination of keys or a key for you to navigate and do and execute different functions. So you can read about that. Okay, so for example, if you want to select down item, you can use J on your keyboard, or you can use the down arrow key. If you want to select up item, you can use K, or you can use up. So let's try that. So in term 2, I have 2, right? If I use down, well, this is a list view. Okay, so if I use down, it's selected the one at the bottom. If I press up on my keyboard, and it's going up. Same way, if I use J, it's going down, and K, J and K, that's what they said, right? Alright, so it's working. Another one, I mean, that's basically what you're going to see. There is the same thing you're going to get when you right click. Okay, and another is feature we should go over is settings. That is basically what Google has done. I want to mention this, that a lot of people are using Microsoft Word, Excel, and the PowerPoint, Microsoft products, right? So Google has made it easy to edit these documents without having the software. So one issue for many of you during the online class learning was that some students, when they are given work to type on Microsoft Word, they didn't have Microsoft Word, and basically you can use the Google Docs online, which is available to you free with your school account. Anybody with a Google account has access to that. Now, what's good thing about the Google Docs is that you can convert Microsoft documents for you to edit them and to work on it, right? Now you can set it to convert the documents automatically. Although it does this automatically when you can just open it, right? Any Microsoft products you want to use, and then there's an offline option that's very important. So with Google Drive, that and it's online, that doesn't mean you always need internet to access your file. So some of you might have internet problems. Like I am having internet problems now. Um, that doesn't mean it will. I mean, the time I have to upload the work, it will affect it because I doesn't have internet at my home now. There's an issue, but that doesn't mean I don't have access to the documents and the files I stored on the Google Drive. So if I click this, I'll be able to get all my stuff offline. Okay, and you can put in the notification, get updates about the Google Drive in your browser, or you can get you get an email anytime some relating to Google Drive. You can manage apps connected to your Google Drive. So I have different apps. You can use it by default, or you can tick it off. Or option, you can view the different products to see what it is. Alright, so all of you will be having things like Google Drawing. You can, right, is to create shapes and diagrams. Google Earth, which we're going to talk over, you can actually have field trips, virtual field trips using Google Earth, right, and so on. Okay, so that wraps up our Google Drive. I'm going to put a quiz on your Google Classroom about all what we spoke about today, in addition to last week, because last week I didn't give you homework. We had our live classes, so I hope you understood everything in this. If you are not, remember, always you can always email me, message me in Google Classroom. Some of you